Have you... Jen, you're too high to record.
I wish.
Have you seen this? If you were one of the 5 people in the theater with Jen watching Wet Hot American Summer in 2001, then you probably weren't laughing.
Philistines! Welcome to Have You Seen This?
The world's only podcast about obscure, overlooked, and misbegotten media.
All discussions will be spoiler heavy.
You have been warned. Does that sentence, if you diagram that, it doesn't like do a loop-de-loop, does it?
No, I got it, because I lived it, bro.
Okay, and I wanted to get that story out of the way because that's pretty much your only anecdote about the 2001 comedic flop, Wet Hot American Summer, featuring the comedic stylings of Janine Garofalo, Amy Poehler, Paul Rudd, some bunch of other people.
A hell of a lot of people from The State.
Yeah, and...
Did you ever watch The State when it was on MTV?
I watched some of it. I mean, it wasn't They Might Be Giants or Tiny Toons, so I wasn't really that interested.
It was before the term stan, but I was a stan. I loved The State, and I used to watch it all the time, you know, and every time they'd rerun it and blah, blah, blah. And then one day, the entire cast appeared on stage and they said, "This is our last show for MTV." And then they kind of waved. Mm-hmm. And then there was like surprised, hesitant applause. And it was like, oh, I guess this show got canceled. And that was what happened. But many of these people went on to
form Viva Variety, yes.
Yeah, bigger and sometimes better things. Like, you've seen these people on, like, Reno 911, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like, help me out, Tim.
Yeah,
where else have we seen these people?
A lot of funny people in this movie, which is unfortunate. But, yeah, I mentioned Viva Variety, too, because that is Thomas Lennon, Michael Ian Black, and... Kerry Kenny. Yeah, it was the 3 of them continuing on. And it's like, oh, yeah, I vaguely remember those guys from The State on MTV. And then Reno 911 comes along, and you're like, oh, I vaguely remember those guys from Viva Variety on Comedy Central. So, yeah, they keep working. Briefly, there was another show on Comedy Central called Stella, and that was Michael Ian Black, Michael Showalter, who was the director and co-writer of Wet Hot American Summer, and another guy named Michael who is in here somewhere. Now, if we want to talk about comedy in the mid-2000s, and I don't, Stella was a show that, because we were talking earlier about you can watch something and be like, I'm sure it's funny, I just don't get it. Stella was completely that thing for me. Like, I saw the 10 episodes, you know, the brief 10 episodes that we as an audience were subjected to before it got canceled and replaced with Mind of Mencia. So that can give you an idea of how well Stella was tracking with the audience. But I remember sitting through that with friends laughing, and I'm like, I just don't get it. This is not funny. And that same non-comedy carries through. That same Michael Ian Black, Michael Showalter, like, the joke is that we aren't being funny comedy that carries through into Wet Hot American Summer. And I am so not here for it. It is awful. It is anti-comedy. And if the joke is that there are no jokes, then fuck it. The joke is on me for having to watch Wet Hot American Summer with, and Molly Shannon, she's also in this. Good comedic actors, but amounting to nothing. Like, you can't put you can't put a joke in every 10 minutes and call your movie a comedy.
Well, this episode's going to be fun.
Okay, go for it, Jen. Counterpoint.
Before we go further, I would like to, just dot my I's and cross my T's here. So, okay, I have some questions for you, Tim.
Okay, great.
Okay, do you, Timothy Dionysus Heidrich, certify that at no time during the screening of this movie were you engaged in Lego building with intent to complete a Lego brand intellectual property build, Lego building with intent to create an MOC, my own creation, parenthetically, browsing Bricklink with intent to purchase Legos for either the completion of Lego brand intellectual property or an MOC, browsing Bricklink with intent to source Lego parts for a future build of Lego brand intellectual property, or MOC. Do you want to field those before I go on with the next 20 points?
Look, let's get one thing perfectly clear here first. I didn't bother to build any new fucking mocks for Bricks by the Bay. I brought shit from 2000. I brought the Full Metal Jacket poster that I made that I want. Here's the thing. Here's a flashback. That placed at Bricks LA in 2020. I brought the Arecibo poster that I did, which is great. It's a perfectly faithful rendering of the Arecibo message, which sucks because it doesn't take any artistry to produce. And I brought the Ant Farm, that one mock of note in 2021 Bricks LA. So,
God damn, you might as well have brought something from 15 years ago, Tim.
Exactly.
What are you even doing?
I'm not building mocks. I'm gritting my teeth and doing a favor for my colleague Jennifer, who insisted...
No need for sarcasm tags on that one, folks.
Who, as my penance for doing this show and getting to carry on about things that I think are important, I took one for the team, and I paid attention to Wet Hot American Summer. Now, I wasn't browsing Bricklink. I had already purchased the helmet that I needed to finish my purple spaceman. It arrived today. Yes, I'll post the picture in the Discord. But at no point...
Wait, they're a purple spaceman?
What?
They're a purple spaceman now?
No, there aren't. That's the thing.
What? Is this an illegal build? What is this? What are you doing?
It is look, it's not my idea. It is someone else has shown how to do this, and they benefit from it, but I'm following their lead, and I made a purple spaceman. So,
Tim, I don't even know what you're doing anymore.
I'm through the looking glass. I'm beyond the pale. I'm going completely off script. Speaking of Wet Hot American Summer. So, but at no point during my watching of this did the mouse hover off of the time remaining scrubber. So I'm like, okay, this has been a rough 15 minutes. This has been a rough 20 minutes. Okay, we're halfway through. Okay, we're 2/3 of the way through. Okay, we got 10 minutes to go. That is how I watch this movie. Because it is not funny. Michael Showalter, I hope he's doing something else for a living now. Something that he's good at. And I feel bad saying that because he's probably a friend of Paul's. But
shouts out, friend of the show, Paul.
Yeah, but geez. It is anti-comedy. And it isn't funny that it is not funny. Go, Jen.
Well, that is that's very odd, Tim, because I rewatched this afternoon, and I was like, I've seen this movie a lot of times. Maybe it's, just not going to be as funny. And by the end, I was cracking up, laughing, as always. As I was that day in 2001 when I saw it at the Plaza, the rest in peace, the departed Plaza Theater in Westwood, with about... I think it was more than 5 people, as Tim said. It was maybe 9 other people.
Wow.
And I just remember the part where they got to the explicit gay sex scene between Bradley Cooper and Michael Ian Black, and just this absolute stunned silence of the other people in the audience. And the entire time watching this movie, I was laughing my ass off. And yes, like Tim said, I was the only one at that point. And in fact, I looked it up because some of you might be saying, Wet Hot American Summer, people love that movie. They did a sequel on Netflix. Well,
they do? Jesus Christ.
I looked it up, and this movie had a budget of $1.8 million.
Okay.
It grossed $295,206.
Cool.
So, and as it says on Wikipedia, the film was a critical and commercial failure, but has since developed a cult following, and many of its cast members have gone into high-profile work. Netflix revived the franchise with the release of an 8-episode prequel series starring most of the film's original cast on July 31st, 2015, and an 8-episode sequel series set 10 years after the original film on August 4th, 2017. So it was...
Did Netflix then cancel it, like just out of spite, or...?
I mean, that's what Netflix does,
yeah.
so, you know. Now, I haven't watched those... I have not watched those sequel series yet, but on completing my rewatch of this movie, I was compelled to secure copies of them because I was like, you know what, I think I'd like to watch those.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tim and I depart completely 180 degrees on the worth of this film, it sounds like. But let's talk about it a little bit. Tim, what do you think about 80s teen camp comedies?
We've already covered this, and the best and only camp comedy movie worth watching is Ernest Goes to Camp.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Meatballs. Thank God.
Why? No.
I don't know. You like Stripes.
Hey, you can't listen to this. If you want to hear the rest of this episode, you got to head on over to patreon.com/haveyouseenthis. And for only $5 a month, you'll get the rest of this episode, plus one more every month, plus over 50 other patron-only episodes. Find the deep cuts for only $5 a month at patreon.com/haveyouseenthis. Link is in the description.